Hello everyone, Link here, back with the next part of the Budapest Starladder Pickems. So, in Stage 2, it went basically exactly how I said it was. It was either going to go really bad or really good for me. I ended up getting 2 correct. Going into the final day, I could have gotten anywhere from 1 to 3 correct, and I honestly wouldn't have hated getting only 1 correct, because of the fact that I would have only gotten a 3-0 correct, which would have been pretty funny. As it stands, I got Liquid correct, and I got Navi correct. And I did mention how, like, Liquid, Aurora, and FaZe Clan to a lesser extent are known for choking. Taiwu had some faith and didn't have that much faith in. MIBR, I just thought they always do well at majors. I really didn't expect them to go 0-3. I could have seen them go 2-3. And then M80 nearly did go through. Passion ended up going through over them. And point I wanted to make for my last video, I mentioned how I didn't know anything about the Passion roster. That was because I actually looked them up on the BO3 website, and apparently the full roster change hadn't happened yet. So there was only 3 players on their teams, and they were complete no-names. And then when I looked again, when I heard apparently it was Complexity that moved over to Passion, kind of like how Eternal Fire moved over to Aurora, I was like, whoa, hang on. And I looked up again, and I couldn't even find Passion anywhere, to the point where I had to actually search them up. And I was like, okay, so they're Complexity. If I knew that, I definitely wouldn't put them going through, but I might not have put them going 0-3. I might have, probably still would have. I mean, I definitely would have put Imperial going 0-3. And honestly, there's not really any other teams here that were obvious to me, except potentially even, believe it or not, Astralis, because I really did not have that much hope for them. I mean, FlyQuest was definitely a bit of a surprise going 3-0, then 0-3, and kind of the reverse with FaZe Clan. So, I'm actually not that disappointed, because I mentioned that this was very well a possibility. Stage 1 I actually did pretty well in, was 1 away from a pick I'm getting correct here. And, yeah, it all came down to this one game. This one game sealed it. Everything went perfect except this one game. So now we're going into Stage 3. The last 2 majors, I've gotten exactly 6 correct in these Stage 3s. This one I'm not as confident about, though. And I think I've mentioned this a lot in Stage 2, where Paravision and Bait in particular are 2 teams that either do really well or they do really bad. So these 2 teams are very unpredictable, even at Stage 3 here. Combine that with the fact that Fury and Vitality are going up against Navi FaZe Clan. That is not an easy 3-0 for either of those 2 teams, and as such, because of the uncertainty of Paravision Bait, because 3D Max wasn't that good and they're going up against Pain, there's really not any easy 3-0s or 0-3s here. So to start off, I'm going to start off with the 0-3s because I'm quite a bit more confident in them than my 3-0s. For me, this is going to come down to 4 teams, which is going to be Paravision, 3D Max, Imperial, and Pain. That's, I think, the most likely teams to go 0-3. I could definitely see Bait or Paravision going 3-0 as well, along with going through as a whole. Because again, those teams, they can either do really good or really bad at this stage. So for me personally, this is a risky thing, especially because I did the same thing with Stage 2 compared to Stage 1 last time around, and it bit me in the butt, which is I'm going to do the exact same Pickems here. I'm going to be going Imperial Paravision, or Imperial Passion. Now, I have seen a lot of other people do this. I've seen people swap out for, I want to say 3D Max, or I think it was Pain or 3D Max. I feel like there was one other team that was kind of a surprise. I think it might have been Paravision. I wouldn't be surprised if some people put Liquid going down there. I'm not going to. I'm not sure if I'm going to put them through. I don't think I will. But for me, it's between either these 2 teams or these 2 teams. I personally am not going to put Pain going through just because they made it to the last major, and I think they've been kind of a consistently average team that, even though I think they're outclassed here, I do think they're better than how we saw 3D Max. I think they're better than Passion, and I think they should still be better than Imperial. So for that reason, I'm not going to put Pain through. I'm going to put these 2 teams through, Imperial, Passion, and if I was going to switch anything, it would probably be this. Or this, but most likely I'm going to be keeping Imperial. In fact, you know what? Yeah, let's do that. I'm more confident in Imperial going 0-3, even though they definitely did surprise me last stage. So I'm going to be going through 3-0s next. A lot of people have done this, and I gotta be honest, I am not anywhere as close to as confident as other people are. But I'm gonna be going Vitality Furia. Vitality, I feel semi-confident with, because they're going up against FaZe Clan, and I will say both these teams have disappointed me with 3-0 picks, but I feel like in a best of one against each other in a group stage, I feel like Vitality should win it, and then Vitality are just going to get better matchups against where they're basically facing the other top teams, which typically they beat, like Maus, Spirit, Mongols, Falcons. Like, they'll lose a game or two against, like, a Maus or a Mongols, but they'll rarely lose that consistently against them. So I definitely think both these teams could just make it through normally. Furia in particular, I think, could definitely lose the 3-0 match. I mean, they're going to have a... Actually, no. The second round, if they do end up beating Na'Vi, they will have a pretty good second round for the most part. Actually, I think the worst thing that can happen to them is if there's a big upset, because then they're going to be going up against one of the teams I mentioned, Beta or Paravision, where they could definitely screw them. If not, they're going to be going up against either Pain or 3D Max. So, Furia, I don't want to put them 3-0. However, in my opinion, if they could potentially lose round 1, and if they do lose round 1, I don't think they're that likely to lose the 0-1, but I do think there's a good chance they might not make it at all. And that's what you want to happen. You usually want to have one of your 3-0s, you either throw it, or you have a team that can either go 3-0, but is also kind of known for choking, so that you can at least root on them to not make it. Don't get me wrong, I love Furia, they're probably my favorite team right now. Well, actually, I would say Mongols is probably my favorite team, with them a close second, but I would love for them to go 3-0, but I still think if they don't go 3-0, they could potentially choke, in which case it's not, like, double screwing my Pickems. So then, for me personally, outside of these two teams, I think Spirit Maus, they're always right next to each other, you know? They're always right next to each other in the top 5. You know, if Spirit is number 1 in the world, Maus is number 2. If Spirit's 5th, Maus is 4th, or 6th. If Spirit's, like, 3rd or 2nd, and Maus is 3rd or 2nd. It's like they're always right next to each other. They're really building up this big rivalry, and they've never dropped out of, like, anywhere close to the top 10 at least. Like, they've always been in the top 10 for, like, the last couple of years, and I think they're pretty much guaranteed to make every playoffs. I could see one of them not making it eventually, but both of them not making it, I would be very, very surprised. And I definitely think that they have a potential to even go 3-0, especially since I do have them typically going 3-0. You know, Spirit Falcons might be a bit more of a question mark, and then let's say maybe Beta Paravision get a good run. Well, if Paravision gets a good run, Maus isn't going 3-0, but I mean, Maus could even space Spirit, potentially. So it's going to be risky to put either of them 3-0. Then Falcons is another team that has been known to choke quite a bit. They choked the last major pretty hard, going 1-3, and I think it was a second stage, which was a big upset. And so for that reason, I think, putting them 3-0, like I've seen some people do, is a really risky thing to do, and I definitely don't think you should be doing that. I still think Nico and m0NESY and the team as a whole is good. Nico and m0NESY definitely being one of the best duos in Counter-Strike, even if they do have their low points, similar to Liquid, similar to FaZe, and even Spirit on occasions. So I still think that they're going to be making it through, but they're a team that can choke. I mean, that's kind of the story of this whole major, is like, you think a team's good, you want to put them through, but they can choke. You want to put a team going 0-3, but they could do a big upset, and then the thing that you think is going to happen is the reverse of what happens. So it's kind of hard to tell. Coming up next, I'm going to put FaZe Clan. This is a team I've definitely seen some people not putting through, just like last stage. But I'm going to repeat the same thing I did in stage 1. We expect them to do bad at the start. The longer the tournament goes, the better they're going to get. So if they're 3-0ing stage 2, I'm not saying they're going to 3-0 again, but I do still think they make it. I will say it would be oddly poetic, especially if they went 0-3 here, to like barely scrape by, go 3-0, then 0-3, just like FlyQuest did. But so I think it would be kind of poetic if they ended up like 2-3 or 1-3 or even 0-3. But I don't think it's going to happen. If they bounce back so good on stage 2, I think they're going to do it again. And honestly, I would not put it past FaZe beating Vitality. In which case, I actually really hope that they do go 3-0 and screw some people's Pickems. So next up, there's two teams I'm going to put, and this is honestly kind of easy for me. I'm going to put Navi not in this slot here, but I'm going to talk about Navi. Again, similar to Spirit and Mao's, they're two teams. They're a team that like consistently makes playoffs. They might not always go far in the playoffs, but they consistently make it. And after the 3-0 last stage, I think Navi's pretty comfortable to make it through. The last team, though, which I'm going to put here, I am really surprised I've not seen a single team or a single person put this team going through. Especially because this team is less known for choking. They're still in the top, well in the top 10, and in some scenarios in the top 5, and like they've not really had any bad results recently. Like, I mean, they even managed to beat Vitality, one of the few teams to beat Vitality. So I've seen people put G2 through, I've seen people put Liquid through, I've even seen people put Beta or Paravision through. And don't get me wrong, I do think these teams could make it, but I think most likely one of them, most likely Bait, makes it through. But I don't understand how so many people are like, yeah, you gotta put these teams through, but nobody's looking at Mongols. Like, when did they drop off? Like, when? Like, no one has told me a single moment of which Mongols has ever, like, dropped off big time. If you can say, like, oh, in this tournament or this tournament, they got, like, 2-0'd twice and were just out and didn't get anywhere in, like, the last, like, they haven't done anything in the last 2 months or something, then I can understand that. But not only is this my favorite team, so I want to root on them, but more importantly, I just don't know why people are viewing Liquid and G2 better than them. I mean, Liquid nearly went out 0-2, or 0-3. G2, they've lost Nico and Mossy. They're still a decent team, and I do think if I was going to put anyone else going through, it would be G2. But, again, I don't understand why no one is even considering Mongols, really. Like, it's just so surprising to me. So, for me, this is my Pickems. If I was going to change anything, honestly, this is what I would change, to be honest. Actually, yeah, I probably would take out FaZe and put like G2. That would probably be the closest thing I would change. That, them, or Falcons I would take out to put in G2. I'm not going to put in Liquid. I think, given how bad of a tournament they've had so far, I think it's only going to get worse for them. And even though I do think Bait and Paravision can go through, it's a team that it's just so risky to gamble on them. It's like a weighted coin flip. It's like, yeah, I can definitely, it might seem 50-50, but it's usually not in your favor, and when it does happen, it feels like you got cheated. But I do definitely think these teams can make it. I think Liquid could maybe make it. To be honest, I have more confidence in Bait or Paravision making it than Liquid. I think, honestly, I've had quite a few scenarios of which Liquid face Bait. I think if Bait, especially if Bait managed to beat Falcons, I think Bait definitely beats Liquid. So I think G2 can make it through, I think Bait can make it through, I think Paravision can make it through, and I barely think Liquid can make it through. Pain, not as much. 3D Max, definitely not, and these two teams, definitely not. So, very similar to most other people's Pickems. If I'm going to get screwed, it's most likely going to be in the 3-0s. The 3-0s and the 0-3s this tournament have been so hard to predict. And the problem with the 3-0s is that if you get both incorrect, you actually get 4 incorrect, because you have to hope that the teams you put going 3-0 don't qualify normally. So sometimes it can almost be worth like throwing one of your 3-0s to like make an extra slot. But this time around, there's so many good teams, you can't even really do that. So that's going to be it for this video. I'll see you guys. I don't even know what to say. This tournament's been crazy. I think we can all agree on that. This tournament's been crazy. Some people aren't even trying. Like, Flom's just going North American hype because he's like, well, I can't get the diamond coin, so we'll just go balls to the walls. And I respect it. But these are my Pickems. Type in the comments if you think that I'm crazy for putting Mongols, or you're also surprised other people aren't putting Mongols. With that, hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the playoffs.